Hello and welcome back to the Spy Hive Business Besties podcast. Good morning, Marianne.
Morning, Julie. Good morning to our listeners. Julie, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? You sound like you were kind of in a game show. Welcome to the Spy High Business Bestie. I liked it.
I'm good. It's cloudy today, but that's okay. Once I have my herbs, I'll be well into the day.
You'll be all jazzed up.
Jazz. I feel like I've been rushing around this morning.
You know, rushing is for the devil, Julie.
Mhm. Mhm.
hmm
But I'm good. How about you?
You know what? I'm doing good. I had the weirdest sleep. So I got to tell you about this. And I guess everybody else too. So, past couple of days, I've been falling asleep particularly early, right? Julie, you
Mhm.
know this. Like one day it was 8:17, like just insane times. And so last night I fell asleep at like, I think it was like 8:45, 8:50, something like that. Full asleep. So then at 10:45, I wake up. I wake up at 10:45 and George is already asleep. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what time is it? It was only 10:45, but it felt like it was going to be 2:30 in the morning. It was so
Yeah, I
strange.
hate when that happens. Sometimes I wake up at like 10:30, 11, 12, and I'm like raring to go, like ready to start the day. And I'm like, I had the best sleep.
Yes.
And then I'm like, but I've only had 4 hours of the best sleep.
Yes. Right. It's so strange. So then I went back to sleep. And then I think George must have rolled over and I had like a startle reflex as if I was a baby. And he hit me like with his arm or something. So he hit me with his arm or something and I startled up as if I was getting like attacked. And so then that woke me up once and that was crazy. And even George was like, "Are you okay? That was insane." And I told him never to touch me again. And then I woke up I was up 2:30 to about 3:50 because one of the kids was up because they're not feeling good. And so then I was kind of up with them, trying to get them more water, whatever they needed, right? And then I finally fell back asleep. And then I woke back up at like 6:45-ish. It was
Mhm.
so weird. It was like it was the never-ending night of sleep, but it was like not all together sleep. It was strange. And I had wild, out of this world dreams. Even know.
That
So
always happens to me when I go back to sleep, like
have weird
towards the
dreams.
morning. I have crazy dreams. Like if I wake up at, say, 4 and then go back to sleep, the rest of the time will be all crazy dreams. Yeah. So I went to a really good spa event over last week.
Yeah, what did you
And
go to? What's the name
so
of it?
that was really cool. I went to Global Beauty Wellness Exchange, I think that is the full name. And it was held at Montage Palmetto Bluff in Bluffton, South Carolina, which is a beautiful area. It's a great place to have an event. It's not like doesn't feel like a super corporate-y hotel. It's fun when I go to events in Las Vegas or New York, but it's a different vibe.
Right.
And, here it was a very like slow, easy vibe. The South is very beautiful. Like they embrace that like slow culture. They also, have like the beautiful live oak trees, which I love. Um, and things were in bloom, things are planted, they've planted their pansies and, all of their annual flowers. So that's pretty cool too.
Sounds
Um,
real nice.
Yeah, and I met some really great vendors, I feel like I was able to do some really good business. So that feels like I accomplished something. So that helps me feel accomplished. And I spoke to several people about our podcast so that we'll have some new listeners,
Good.
and thought of some ideas for some guests this year that could be really fun and exciting. Some other business besties that we can bring in to chit chat with us. It's funny because when people ask about the podcast, they're like, "What's it about?" And I'm like, "It's about whatever we go off on a tangent on." Like we usually start with a plan and then it usually goes off the rails and we start talking about other things. And they're like, "But those are the best conversations."
And they should listen. This is exciting. You found some new friends at the Global Beauty and Wellness Exchange. I was just looking at the hotel. It does look beautiful. So maybe next year we should both go. That'd be great.
That would be so great.
I would
Maybe
love it.
maybe we could do our podcast. They usually don't invite two people from like that do the same thing. But
Well, we're two different people, so maybe they'll make an exception.
so today
What are we talking about?
we're talking about love languages at work and why most teams get it wrong. So, I mean, have you read the book, The Five Love Languages?
So I have not personally read the book. I did read, and that book is what the love languages is created by Gary Chapman, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't read the book, but I did read. Who is that guy? He's the he had a talk show. Oh, Steve Harvey. Yes. I read Steve Harvey's book and he talked about the 5 love languages. Steve Harvey, man, I don't think he's on his show anymore, but he was so
Oh, he's not?
real. I don't think he has a show anymore, but he's like so real and authentic. I mean, I don't know. He's
Isn't he on
probably
the Family Feud?
now. Who knows? He probably like has skeletons in his closet like everybody you say you love, right? But I did
Probably.
love right? I did love his book. So I am aware of the 5 love languages. Did you read, like, the real book? Like, did
I
you read the whole
did,
thing?
yes. Yes. So actually, when we were at the hotel that we worked at together, maybe you were gone by then, but we actually did like a leadership training in the spa about the five love languages.
Okay.
Yeah, we brought in a trainer, a local trainer that trained the team about communication styles and how to learn like other people's communication style as part of a team. And then we went into like the five love languages and then into various different communication styles, which, was really cool. I think the team appreciated it. It was something different that I feel like, I was able to bring in because trying to create cohesive teams is sometimes difficult.
Well,
And so I
yes, it is
so I think,
difficult.
understanding what makes other people tick, is, one of the keys I feel like that unlocks, a way to create teams that want to work together.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and if you think about teams these days, like, they spread across so many generations right
Mhm.
now, and like some of those generations have very different ways to communicate than the other ones, right? So I could see how some type of training like this would be really beneficial to a team. But the
Yeah,
great thing is that they can just listen to this podcast and gain some insight too.
true. I mean, I think that, it's great to do, appreciation things. Like I like to try to show my appreciation as best as possible, through, pizza parties and various different kinds of like incentives and perks that we offer. So it could be, we offer at different places like 50% off on services. Some of the spas that I've worked at, they earn a certain dollar amount towards free services, right? So not just the employee discount, but they can get certain number of free services. But let's be real, a pizza party has never healed burnout, right? Like, in how many instances does a pizza party like bring a team together for more than the time that they're woofing down the pizza? And like the perks are nice, but they're not the same thing, I feel like, as showing genuine appreciation. So today, I think we're going to break down why leaders think that they're showing gratitude and why teams feel that they're not feeling it. So
Okay,
I
can
feel
you go?
like appreciation is one of those leadership skills that we all think we're good at. Yeah, I appreciate my team. Yeah, I say thank you. I do a team lunch. I give shout outs at the meetings, right? But a
Right.
lot of people are still thinking, I don't actually feel seen. And that's a big thing. So the property that I work with now, we just got our results from our employee satisfaction survey. And I'm going to be honest with everyone, like if you're not doing employee satisfaction surveys, you should. It doesn't matter how big or how small your business is. There's no real way to take the pulse of your employees in an anonymous way than to do an employee appreciation survey. Because in most instances, they're not going to come to you as a boss and be like, um,
Suck.
I don't like the, yeah, you suck. You suck, lady. Like, you're the problem here. And I was talking to, I was talking to some people at the event that I was at, some spa managers and directors. One was like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "We've met." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And she's like, "No, we totally like had a whole conversation." And I was like, "Where are you from?" And so I had to like recall back in my brain because it was pre-COVID. So like
Oh, wow,
everything
yeah.
before then just kind of slipped away. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. I came to Hilton Head and I consulted with a business. And I remember coming to your spot and I remember us talking. You were interested in consulting. And she's like, yes, I still, sort of am, like how to get into it. And so I totally remembered, the conversation. I needed to be reminded.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't even know if the spa that I worked with is still in business because how do you say to the owner, I'm sorry, but you're the biggest problem? So, how do you say to your boss? You walk into their office and, your boss is like, how do we work as teams? How do we fix this? And someone walks into your office and says, well, you're the problem, lady. They don't. I mean, I probably
No.
do have some of my team, and that comes back to what you're saying as generational,
Yeah.
that will call you out on things. And then there's certain others that might want to say something and wouldn't. And so an employee engagement survey and satisfaction survey is really great. And as a leader, it's terrifying at the same time because you think you're doing a good job, but you don't know, if you have a team of 50 people, you don't know if there's, 5 out of the 50 that are going to slam you, that maybe you haven't given them what they need. And so what I find most in this employee engagement survey is the number one thing that people want to feel is seen.
Maybe though people are just not seen in like their everyday life. And so they're like, "Ooh, I really want to be seen and work." Because I do feel like when you make teams, I mean, we can all do better, right? Of course. But I feel like that is something that you really emphasize. So, I mean, yeah, I am from a generation millennial, right? And I like appreciation, right? That is a big thing. I like to know that you appreciate me. But also at the same time, like, not all the time should you need to hear it. Sorry, I'm a little cutthroat this morning. But sometimes, like, if the boss takes all day long telling you what a great job you're doing, I mean, they got other things to do too. Sorry.
Well, right, but I think also it comes down, and I'm just thinking of this recent survey, and I might add the score had the best scores that it's ever had ever. But
That's the tea that I wanted. I wanted to know, did anybody say that, management was the problem?
no.
Oh,
Well,
good.
no.
Oh,
So I would be
well,
spilling too much tea.
that's
But,
not any fun. That's why we're here.
so what they did say, so what happens is they do the engagement survey and then they have a follow-up meeting with, human resources representatives and
Okay.
break down like, hey, the spa, you feel appreciated, you feel seen, you feel this, you feel that, because, they go over the scores. And second, 30 to every other department at the hotel.
Well,
So it wasn't directly related to the leadership team of the spa.
no, it wasn't. No, not at all. I guess if anything, the takeaway, right, for the leadership team is you got, to fight even more for, the spa to have a place at the table, right? Like even
Right.
more, right? Julie, I was thinking maybe between us, we should do an employee satisfaction survey. And then I was thinking we could read our results live on air.
So I take one about you and you take one about me.
Yeah. That would be so not good. I mean, I have nothing but wonderful things to say. Would have to depend on the mood we were in when we filled it out, I guess.
Right, right. Well, I think that what I found most interesting in the engagement survey, and although the spa's rating was higher than it's ever been, I always find takeaways of things that, maybe we could do better. And what I saw in it was that the one dip, real like kind of dip in satisfaction or in the score was, and it was just a gentle dip, it wasn't
Right.
like a crash and burn, but people don't feel that their individual talents are like utilized. And that's really hard to do sometimes. I try to, I've always tried to manage people differently, right? I manage them based on, who they are and what's important to them. And but it's hard sometimes when you're managing big teams to say, okay, this person really excels at this. So I'm going to ask them to work on maybe this side project. Or, this person really seems to love whatever. So maybe we do more training with that person on this. And when you have a big team, trying to find their strengths and amplify their strengths are it sometimes gets lost, not
Yeah.
intentionally, right? And
Makes
so
sense.
I'll hear people say, just so you know, words of affirmation is my love language. Like people will genuinely say those things to me, to each other at work. And, or just so you know, gifts are my love language. Like
Look,
I like prizes. I like gifts. I like
Easter being
quality time. Like,
yes,
I need that one-on-one time with you.
yes. Well, that is a perfect segue. Let's quickly break down the 5 love languages. For anyone who has not read the book or read Steve Harvey's book, right? So we have words of affirmation, and we're going to put examples how you can use these love languages in the workplace because, you'll use them differently than in your personal relationships in the workplace, right? Or you will end up
Of
in
course.
HR. So,
Right.
words of affirmation, giving specific feedback. So, perhaps you're not saying, oh, you're amazing, but you are saying, you handled that client beautifully and increased retail this month by 18%. Our second love language is acts of service. And that can look like removing obstacles. So fixing systems, stepping in during stressful times, solving problems so your team can perform. So maybe it's an obstacle that you know that they can handle, but kind of stepping in
Mhm.
for them and just handling it, but then not saying, "Oh, you should have handled this," right? But just taking one for the team. That can go a long
Mhm.
way. Our third love language is receiving gifts, just like you mentioned. So this can look like structured rewards. So bonuses, extra PTO, education, and it ties into performance, not random perks. I mean, this is kind of management, like in leadership 101, right? If you have a team full of people that love gift cards,
Mhm.
and not necessarily extra time off, right? Or maybe you have people on your team that just want, a Saturday morning off and they could care less about the cash prize. I don't know what it is, but knowing what it is can go a long way. Our fourth love language is quality time, which sounds a little funny when you think about it in a work perspective, but focus leadership
Right.
attention. So constant one-on-ones, career conversations, undivided presence. A good way to think about this is, let's say if you're a director and you have like a few managers under you, is taking maybe one of those managers out for like a solo quick lunch, right? Kind of separating them from
Mhm.
the big group and giving them some one on one time. And then our fifth love language, and don't get this one wrong because you will end up in HR if you do, is physical touch.
Right.
So, obviously don't do anything dumb. But using warm energy, eye contact, a supportive body language, not actual literal touch people. But physical touch can also mean like your presence, like you're physically there as well with them.
Mhm. And it's not once a year at the holiday party.
Absolutely. Talk about some statistics, which we all know that I love. A
Yes.
study done by Gallup says employees who receive regular recognition are 4 times more likely to be engaged, right? And engaged
Mhm.
employees stay longer and, they produce more revenue. So that's a win. And highly engaged teams are 23% more profitable. The next part is 79% of employees who quit say lack of appreciation was a major reason they left.
I mean,
So,
I believe that. And especially with like different generations, right? I mean, the boomers, right? Baby boomers, they mostly work one place their
yeah,
whole career and then, maybe retired and then got like a secondary retirement job. Gen X like me, right? Also, it, stayed pretty consistent, with, like work. Like, I mean, I was taught at a very young age that I'm not going to be getting any pats on the back, that I've got to give myself a pat on the back.
yeah.
But then it all changed with the millennials. And so then now you're managing not just millennials, but primarily
So when you talk about boomer generation, yes, they might have less of a need for appreciation. in the regular sense, but I do think they have a need to still feel valuable to the team. And I think that it's really up to us to make them feel that they are valuable because they really are, right? Like, sure, they might not be able to help you with your social media campaign. I mean, maybe they can. I don't know, but they also might know the best way to say something in a salesy manner or something. So I think every
Right.
generation does need appreciation. You just kind of have to figure out, what that love language looks like.
For me, if you look at, if I was to ask any of my millennial or Gen Z team that I've managed, how frequently they actually physically write a note, like write a thank you note or a letter to someone, they would probably say never. It would be few and far between. And so I feel like that's something that's more of a boomer generation, right? It's something that Gen X probably has gotten more away from, because we've kind of have ridden the wave of technology.
Right.
But I will tell you that force myself, like I have to remind myself every single quarter that I want to write 5 handwritten notes to someone. And I will tell you, it doesn't matter what generation it is, they appreciate it.
I guess I'll be expecting mine in the mail because haven't gotten one in a couple years, but
I feel like you said that before. I've sent you
we're
cards.
yeah, that's true. But we're going to see each other this weekend, Julie, so you can just adorn me with positive words of affirmation all weekend long.
Well, I mean, is that your love language?
Oh, it's not actually. It's not. I think my business love language and my personal love languages are two different things, which is another topic. And I think that's interesting. I would say for business, it's definitely physical touch, Julie. Let's canoodle on the couch. Just joking. All right. No,
Great. My strength.
I would say actually for business, it's a mix between gifts and words of affirmation. But for life, it is acts of service.
Probably quality time, like
Business.
feeling valued,
Is it
like
because you're
feeling
close?
valued.
Is it because you're close to being a boomer?
No.
Just joking.
Um, and acts of service for me in work, because I feel
Yeah.
like I've committed my uh service, like serving our industry. But my personal life, words of affirmation 100% is my love language.
Really?
Because you can ask Gary and you will see it in person. I wait for him to take his very first bite of dinner, and then I wait for him to tell me how great it is. And if he
Um,
doesn't say anything, I'll say, "How is it? How is it? Is it
I
okay?"
don't.
And he'll be like, "Yeah, it's good." And I'm like,
Really?
"No, like I need more than good."
Yeah,
um
that's funny.
invite everyone to think about, what your love languages are, both, personally and professionally. And also, thinking about like you could do something really easy with your teams. And, you can simply ask them, do a maybe quick exercise or a conversation at a team meeting, or it's really easy, on your chat GPT. I think it would be fun for us to do an episode on like the many ways we use chat GPT, not just any AI, but let's say chat GPT that we specifically use. Have chat GPT put a quick um just check boxes, quick poll together, right? And give it to your team at a meeting and have them fill it out. and, see like what they rank as most important: verbal recognition, bonuses or gifts, extra time off, helper support, one-on-one time with their leadership. It's so funny. We created this huge like quarterly incentive and based on various components. And if you reach the components, you get your name in a bin, in a basket or whatever. And then if your name gets picked out, you get to pick a prize
Okay.
in the prize vault. And so one of the prizes we put in for, I hope none of the team is listening, because the meeting is tomorrow, but is a one-on-one lunch with one of the managers. We
Love
wanted
it.
to see if anybody would pick it, not with me, but with
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
managers, and obviously we would pay for the lunch
Right. Right.
because that's an example of like one-on-one time that
Yeah.
people really enjoy. And I can say managers that I lead and I work with, they do 100% appreciate the undivided one-on-one time, with me to really hear the things that, if they're struggling with or successes that they've had, rather than just glossing over it like, good job, yeah, good. So I very specifically try to conduct one-on-one meetings with managers every single week so that, it doesn't get lost.
We have a one-on-one this weekend.
Total.
Perfect. I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. That's all we've got for today. Thanks for sticking with us as always, and share your favorite spa podcast with your friends, the Spa Hive Business Besties podcast. We appreciate you sharing it with people whether they're in the spa industry or not. If
Yeah.
you enjoy beauty, wellness, spa, chatting with friends, talking about 5 love languages, this is the podcast for you. And Marianne, I will see you in just a few short days. And we'll be recording in person live.
Yes. Yes. So make sure you tune in next week. We're going to record live with video. Surprise, surprise. Julie didn't know that part. And it'll be exciting. Next week, I think we're doing some type of roundtable discussion. But who knows where it'll go because we're going to be live with each other in the same room with some quality time. What a treat. What a real treat. All right, Julie. Well, I'll see you soon.
I see you soon. Travel safe. And we'll see you all next time live here on our Spa Hive Business Bestie podcast.
Bye, Julie. Bye, listeners.
If I've piqued your interest, even just a little bit, about the Spa Hive, good news. You can learn more over at our free Facebook community. That's right. Head on over to Facebook, search Spa Hive Professional Community, and join me, my Spa Hive board, and over 400 other spa, hospitality, and wellness professionals there. The community is always free, chocked full of tips, tricks, and educational content to serve you. Look forward to seeing you there.